We are here today with with Auður, which is part of a business department. She works for University of Iceland for 13 years, and her main field is marketing. So we can probably can move to the interview part. Firstly, we will speak about the working environment, and last we can get to the technological part of it. So first question would be, how do you think the labor market will change in upcoming years?
Okay, so I think actually that is related to technology.
Oh yeah,
so,
of course.
Of course. But I think that we will see more like self-service. So we need fewer people to work lower paying jobs. I think that will be the main change in like maybe the next 5 to 10 years. But to try to predict 50 years or something, I think I have to pass on that. But yeah, I think more educated people and less educated people, we will have less of them, I think.
Yeah, so the requirements will be higher for the people with education to like interact with all the technology, and we will...
Yeah. Or maybe there won't be a request for people that don't have so much education. So maybe, of course, education will develop and go further, but more requirements, I'm not sure if we look at 5 to 10 years. I think we already have it, but the opportunities for people that don't have education, I think will be not so much.
Okay, yeah, that's understandable from what we see now. And which habits would you implement into work environment to make it better?
The habits, I think that it depends on what we mean by better and what we need in each case. Because in some companies, let's take software companies for instance, we need different things than we need, for example, in maybe schools or in banking environment or in the grocery store. So I think it depends on what kind of behavior you want from the employees. So like in the software industry, I think we need to give time for R&D. So we need to give time for creative thinking. So too much time pressure and too much 9 to 5 atmosphere, I think, is not good. So some days you may need to just cool down and have like a free space. But in the banking industry, that might not be necessary. It depends on what kind of behavior you want to gain.
Of course.
So, and
also for the equality in between, it could also help. Do you agree?
Yeah. Probably, yeah.
Okay, so the following question would be, which type of management, or better to say leadership, is in your opinion better or more accurate for working to allow employees to feel good at work, or to just pressure them to get better results?
So you want to know which leadership style I would say that would be the best. I am really interested in a leadership style that's called service leadership. So there the manager is not really like the boss in an old-fashioned way. So he is more like serving the employees. So I truly believe in that. And I also, since I'm a teacher, I also believe in that kind of approach within the class. So the teacher is like the boss, an old-fashioned teacher could be like, okay, you do this and you need to do that. But for me, I look at myself more as a service employee for the students. And I think that the boss in a company should use that kind of style.
So should encourage people to...
Definitely, and be there to serve them, really.
Of course. Okay. And are employees made to work at home? Are they capable of working at home, or do you think that it's still better to have some office and fixed place to work in?
Again, I think it depends on the industry and even the company. For some people, and also the individual themselves. For some people, I think it is good to have the opportunity to work at home if they want to. But if you mean like working at home outside the regular working time, like in the evenings and on weekends and so on, I think it shouldn't be obligatory, definitely not. But I think they should be allowed to work if they want. But if you mean that they can some days stay at home and work and some days go to the office, I think that can be good in some cases. But if they need to deal with customers, for example, that can't happen.
Yeah.
So it depends on what they are doing. But I think we still need this interaction, this face-to-face contact. I think it always makes a difference. So I think that you need an office, but for some people it would be nice to be able to be flexible.
Okay, yeah, it also goes with your previous answer for the question, because you said that the employees should be given more free space in some days, and it should be it could be used very well, like to stay at home and maybe to spend sometimes with, for example, when you are making toys for the kids, maybe it's really useful to play with your own, and you find out what would they need. And to continue, it's how would you advise students to prepare for the labor market? What would be your advice for them to do?
Focus on be critical. Critical thinking, I think, is always the most important thing. Never take anything for granted. It doesn't matter who says it. Always question what people are saying, question the truth. So critical thinking, I would say, do everything you can each time you can to try to develop that ability, because you were not born with that ability, you need to develop it. And also independence. I think it's really important to be able to be true to yourself and do what you think is best. So be independent, but also be able to work with others. So I think these are probably the most important 3 factors. I think you should use every opportunity in school to try to develop them.
Yeah, now we'll move on to the technology part of the questions. So do you think that technology has had any positive effects on learning?
On learning? Definitely. I think almost only positive effects. I think that this luxury, because it is luxury to have the internet just, in your hand all the time, I think that has made it possible to do things and learn things much faster, and also see what you need to know and what you can't just look up. I mean, in the old days, you couldn't have that possibility to have the internet, so you needed to know, right? So now you can look almost everything up.
Yeah.
So I think it has definitely, you can learn more, but you also know what you need to know and what you can just check later on.
And so you don't think any negative effects?
No, not on learning.
No.
But maybe on students.
Yeah.
For example, I think it's a lot more noise now. Noise in the meaning that there are constantly things that are bugging you in some way. So, but I think that people are changing, so they can handle more of this noise now than in the past. but still I think it takes maybe more time from them than it should. And I see, for example, with my kids, my oldest is 16, and the next one is 13, and both of them, when they are doing their homework, they have the computer and are watching Netflix, they have their phone and are looking at Snapchat, and then they are studying.
Yeah.
So they sit like that for maybe 2 or 3 hours, and I'm just like, okay, you could do it in 20 minutes if you just skip the computer and skip the phone.
Yeah.
But they don't do it. So I think a lot of noise can have negative effect on the student, but not on learning itself.
Yeah. So in relation to jobs, are you optimistic or pessimistic about the future?
I'm really optimistic.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I be?
Yeah.
I am really. I think technology and all the developments, I think they are like 95% is really positive. So I'm optimistic, definitely.
Yeah. And are there any safety or ethical issues that need to be considered involving technology in the future?
Yeah, and now, not just in the future, but now, the present, because everything about us is out there, and we don't have the knowledge to know how to handle it. So, like personal things, they are open for grabs for everybody, really. So I think we need some structure, some law environment of what is good for us to have there and what is not. So that's maybe we need a structure regarding law, but ethics, it's more difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
For example, like you start to work with somebody, you instantly go and Google them and try to find out everything you can. Is that ethically okay, or is it not? Yeah. It's a personal question, really. Yeah. So the ethical things, that's difficult, but the law, I think we need a framework to handle all this new stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, no problem.